Hey guys, thanks so much for joining today. Sorry it has been a little while since I've put up a new video. This last couple of weeks have kicked my butt. We have all been sick and yeah, it's been hard. So I feel like we're finally we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel there. And so I'm back today, and today I want to talk to you about March and what it was like for me as a reseller on Poshmark. March was insane. It really was. I have been reselling full-time now for a year. I started in January of 2018, so just a little over a year that I quit my other jobs, and I have been focused on this entirely. And January was my best month to date this year. And then February was a little bit less, but there had been some other things going on in February, and it's shorter, so, but it still was not a bad month at all. And then March hit, and I don't really know what happened. It just took off, and I sold over $10,000. $10,000, okay? $10,000 of used clothing on Poshmark alone. What? Like, it blows my mind. Honestly, and I seriously debated making this video. I've been toying with the idea, but you guys know, if you've watched my stuff before, you followed along on my Instagram, I don't ever talk about money, really. I don't. This is my job, and I'm able to make an income with this, but I don't talk about how much I spend on things, and I don't talk about how much I make, just because I don't want to be braggy, and it's not really most anybody else's business. But I really felt the need to make a video about it this time, just because I have had so many of you message me on Instagram and reach out to me and be like, can you even make a living on this? And I just want, if I can do it, anybody can, truly. 2 years ago when I started this, I had never set foot in an Anthropologie store. I had never heard of brands like St. John or Free People. Never heard of it. I did not know anything about this, okay? I was a nurse. I liked clothes. But the extent of my fashion knowledge was Gap and Target and Maurice's. And, you know, I knew that Coco Chanel was a sought-after designer. And that's it. I had never heard of these brands that I sell nowadays. It took a lot of education, a lot of self-education, a lot of learning, trial and error with buying things that were bad buys. But in 1 month, I sold as much as I did the entire first year I started reselling. I mean, that's crazy. That's really crazy. So I said on Poshmark alone. So I had over $10,000 in sales on Poshmark, and I had about 4 sales on Tradesy, which were a few hundred, and a couple sales on Mercari, which were, I think total added up to like 150 or something. So those are definitely not my main stream of income, but Tradesy is something that I don't list everything on. I only list items on there that I can list for $100 and more. So 4 sales on Tradesy is really nice. So anyway, what did I do to make March a $10,000 month? And please remember, this is not $10,000 profit, okay? I bought liquidation boxes. I put away money for taxes. I did not bring home $10,000. I simply sold over $10,000 worth. Okay, my sales were over $10,000, but just alone, I paid $2,000 of that to Poshmark. Okay, so I just want to preface that I did not bring home $10,000. Okay, that's just the total gross. So I went into March with, I knew that I was close to reaching 100,000 in sales, total sales. Not, once again, not earned, total sales, on Poshmark. And so I wanted to reach that by the end of the month. And so I went into March with the thought that I was going to accept every offer. I was going to list daily, and those were my two main things for March. I was going to accept every offer. So even if it wasn't what I really wanted, I wasn't going to counter and be a greedy bitch. I was just going to accept it because sales bring sales. I've talked about that before. So I did that. I accepted every offer, and it was incredible how the offers just kept coming in and the sales just kept coming in. And when I sent out offers, they would be accepted. I also made it a point to list every single day, and I started making a focus on relisting items, which I was terrible at relisting items before. I just didn't. They just sat, and they just sat. And so probably half of my sales were items that I had relisted, that had been sitting for months, a year. And I relisted them and they sold. Some of them I relisted with new photos because they were just really, really old setup. Some of them I used the same photos, but I just relisted them, and within a couple of days they sold. So relisting works, okay? But I accepted basically every single offer. Now, okay, if I had something listed for $65 and somebody offered me $8, I did not accept that, obviously. But I tried to counter with a very, very reasonable counter instead of being petty and countering. Like, I had it listed at 60 and they offered me 8, and so I countered with like 58 to just like prove a point. I tried to counter very reasonably to close the sale, and a lot of times. And I send a message along with it, and I'm like, hey, I love to negotiate prices for my customers. I can't go 80% off my listed price, but I am happy to negotiate with you, and so I really hope that you can work with me as well. And usually that will turn it around into a sale, like probably 80% of the time. So I accepted every single offer, and I listed every day. And it was incredible what March was. And I know I am not trying to brag at all. I just want you guys to know that it can be done. It really can be done. Just got my computer and I wanted to double check amount that I spent on sourcing as well for March. And I spent a little over $1,000 purchasing inventory. So, like I said, I sold $10,000 worth. It did not bring that home, okay? But it is possible. I thrifted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I only went thrifting like 10 times in the month of March, and then I bought 2 liquidation auctions. So, I purchased roughly 179, 180 pieces of inventory to list, and I listed it all during the month, most all of it. That's a lot more than I sourced in February, which is probably a reason why February was not nearly as good of a month. February wasn't a terrible month, but it just wasn't as good of a month as January was or March. You can do this. If you are a mom who somehow, if you're like me, you stumbled across Poshmark, resellers, all these people on Instagram, and you're curious about it, you can do it, okay? It takes a lot of work. I put a lot of hours into my Poshmark. I put a lot of time and effort into my photos and editing. That's a source of pride for me with doing my photos the way that I do them. And so I put a lot of time and effort into that. You can do it, okay? If anybody can, who wore scrubs every single day and didn't know any of these brands existed 2 years ago, if I can sell this much, so can you, okay? So don't listen to the naysayers on Facebook groups and stuff saying that Poshmark is way oversaturated, because it's not. Because I feel like there's very little competition for any one of us as resellers because there are so many people shopping. There is so much in the thrift stores. There is so many textiles being dumped that there is room for every single one of us. And as long as you put the work in and you're getting good things and you're doing research and you're educating yourself about it, as long as you do that, you can make it work. Now, am I going to have $10,000 in sales this month? Absolutely not. I can guarantee you that because April has been off to a terrible start. I had food poisoning and I was massively burned out from March, and it's just been a hard start to the month. So I'm not on track to have near as good of a month this month. And so now my goal for myself is, how do I replicate this? How do I make this happen again? I think that's, because obviously I can't easily increase the amount of items that I have to sell. I max out at 1,200 active listings because my storage area is in my attic and it is completely overflowing at 1,200. I cannot do any more than that. I just really can't. So how do I increase my sales and make it stable where I could do $10,000 a month? Well, that's for me to figure out. I'm going to have to learn that because that's my challenge for myself. So I hit 100,000 in sales early on in the month of March, sooner than I expected to. And from there, now, it kind of felt like, well, now what? That was my goal. Like, I wanted to have $100,000 in sales, but I had no further goals beyond that. And so I've really had to kind of regroup myself. Over the last few weeks, I've had to kind of refocus and figure out, okay, where do I want this to go now? What do I want to do with my business? It's really hard for me to be like, oh, I'm going to have $200,000 in sales by the end of this year, because that's really, really daunting. But if I can say, I'm going to try to redo 10,000 in sales next month, and the month after, and the month after that, then I could hit that goal. It can support my family. Anyway, so I'm proud of myself. It's crazy that this started from 3 huge Tupperware bins of clothes that did not fit me after my daughter was born. And I literally just hung them up on the wall on a hook. And I didn't have lights. I didn't have a backdrop. I didn't have anything like that. But they sold. They still sold. And when I look back at my old sales, I sold them for $8, $10 a piece. Because, like I said, they were Maurice's and Target and stuff like that, which is fine. It's fine. But what I want to encourage you is that you can grow from that. You just have to educate yourself and learn and follow people and look at what they're selling and learn about new brands and fabrics and what sizes are the most important. All of these things play a role in it. It's not just that you have a popular brand. It's the season. It's what fabric it's made out of. All of this stuff is very important and plays a really important role in that success. So I just want to encourage you guys that you can do it too. $10,000 in sales may be too much of a goal for you right now, but you can make a goal of $5,000 in sales. That is very doable. And if you put the effort in, it will come. Okay? So good luck. Please don't forget to subscribe. Like this video and comment down below if there's any questions you have. I try to do my best to respond. Follow me on Instagram as well, because that's where I give a lot of advice and tips about how to improve your reseller game. So thanks so much for joining. Have a great day.